Real Life with Susan Harf. Hi everyone, I'm Rose Martin and we are with our very favorite life coach. She's going to have tips and strategies for teaching us how to navigate this crazy journey called life. And we're so happy that you're with us today. And like you, I can't wait to hear what's on her mind today. Hi Susan.
Hi Rose.
So what are you thinking about?
Well, I'm very happy to see you and I'm so glad that you're with us also. And I'm really excited because today we are going to answer a letter from a viewer.
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought
we've been asking people, right, to write in.
We have this question, and I really thought that it was something that we should bring here because I think this is something that could happen to almost everybody.
Oh.
So here we go. Dear Susan, I have a dilemma and I hope you can help. Here's the situation. Before Christmas, my sister asked me what should she get our child for the Christmas present. I was planning to get him something I saw on Amazon already, and it was a building set to build an indoor fort.
Sounds like fun.
I knew it was going to be expensive, so I told my sister if she wanted to, she could go in on it and we would pay half too. She agreed, and I then told her that I would order it since I knew exactly where to get it, and she could pay me back when she came to town. I went ahead and bought the toy. When my sister came to town for Christmas, she announced that she had gotten him a cowboy outfit instead of what we talked about. It came complete. It came complete with a holster and a toy gun. My husband and I do not want our son to have a toy gun, and I am furious with my sister. During the time she was here, I didn't say anything, but I'm still mad. What should I do?
Ooh, that's good.
So I read this, and I sort of had several ideas about it. She's angry, I think, for a few reasons. First of all, she's angry with her sister because she had a conversation ahead of time about what to get her son. And she assumed that her sister was going to follow through. And secondly, because she believed that she was going to follow through, she went ahead and purchased it. And it sounded to me like she really wanted her sister to go in on half because it was an expensive gift. So not only was she accomplishing being able to answer her sister as to what she could get her son, which is her sister's nephew, but also she was kind of getting something out of the deal because now they weren't going to buy, she and her husband weren't going to buy the whole thing themselves. So she's angry about the fact that she spent the money on it, and now her sister's not going in half. I think that was really part of why she was upset.
Well, and her sister broke the agreement, right? I mean, you go into something like that, you make an agreement. I can kind of see why she's upset about that part of it. Forget about the other half that you're going to talk about. But I'm thinking with my sisters, if we'd agreed to share in a present, then I have kind of budgeted that, and I'm going to pay for it, and I'm going to expect you to send me your half, and then that comes as a surprise.
Exactly, and I that's the sense that I got from reading this, that was really part of her frustration. The other thing is what the sister ended up getting him. She doesn't want him to have a cowboy outfit with a holster and a gun. And she believes that's her purview, not her sister's. So why did she go off, in her mind, why did the sister go off and then not only keep the agreement that they had, but then she went and bought him something that she didn't want him to have? So all of that is wrapped up in this. And firstly, I think what you said is really not just endemic to this situation. I think that if you make a deal, if you say to someone, this is our deal, this is what we're going to do, then you need to follow through on it.
It's your word.
It's your word.
You kind of gave your word that I'm going to go ahead. Yes, I'll go in on that with you.
Exactly. And now I'm going to say something that contradicts that, what I just said. It's your word, I agree, and you should follow through. At the same time, this is her sister. This is someone that I'm assuming that they have a good relationship with, that she has a good relationship with her, because she said they discussed it ahead of time as to what she was going to buy her child. So it sounds to me like the sister's a good aunt and a good sister. She cares enough about the child to ask his mother, her sister, well, let's talk about this. What should I buy? And even though I believe your word is your word and you should do what you say you're going to do, and especially when there's money involved. However, haven't you ever been in a situation where you said, I know I was going to do that, but I'm going to do something else. I'm in the store right now. I see this. I like it. I'm going to get it.
And I think that's okay to change your mind. But with me having 3 sisters, I would have picked up the phone and said, hey, I've got this other idea. Have you already purchased that? Because I'm thinking I might want to go a different direction. I think that's courtesy to them.
And it would have been better had she done that, but she didn't. So I'm going to tell you a story about something that I did just like that, except I didn't make the phone call. So I said this year, I'm going to buy some holiday decorations. And I said to my son, and after you come over and we have the holiday meal, I'm going to give you the decorations to take home and put them in your house. I want to buy that for you. Okay, he said, that's nice, great, okay. We were planning on getting them ourselves, but if you want to give them to us, that's nice. So the holiday meal occurs. As you know, we celebrate Hanukkah. We had a great holiday celebration. And after dinner, I said, you know, so I guess we have to take these down now and give them to you. And he said, really, to tell you the truth, our child is 1. He's getting tired. We're just going to go home. You can give them to me in a couple days or tomorrow or whatever. And I said, okay. And they left. And I said to my husband, these decorations look really nice at our condo. And I don't know if I really want to give them to him. And when I give them to him tomorrow or the next day, well, the holiday's only going to be lasting a few more days. He probably should really get his own decorations, at least for next year, and then he'll have them the whole time. I called him up and I said, you know how I told you I was going to give you those decorations? He said, yes. He said, but you're not, are you? And I said, I kind of want to change my mind. Does that mean I'm terrible? He said, absolutely not. Change your mind, that's fine. We will get our own decorations. Now, I said, if you want, I will give you these for the rest of this week because you haven't already purchased them, and I don't want you to go without any. And so I did bring them over there, and actually brought a couple of things over there, and he had them for they had them for the rest of the week. But he did end up at the end of the week giving them back to me. That was not the original agreement. Mm-hmm. The original agreement was, I bought these for you. And regardless, I may decide next year to buy him some more. Probably will. But regardless, I broke the agreement. And I didn't ask him really ahead of time. I just decided, and I decided right then and there because I hadn't seen them up. And when I saw them, I said, boy, these really look great in this space. My point is that we have a close relationship. This is a family relationship. In our case, a mother and a son, or mother and father and son and daughter-in-law. In this woman's case, it's her sister. These are close family relationships. So we need to think about, let's say the person doesn't do, the close family member, in this case, her sister did not do what she said she was going to do. You said, I would call up my sister and say, you know what, I want to change my mind. What do you think about that? Of course, I would say that's what the sister should have done. She should have called and said, you know, I walked into a store, I saw something, I just bought it. How do you feel about that? But in these situations in life, life is not always perfect. It's not always planned. And you know what? We don't always do the perfect right thing. Yeah. So what we need to talk about is what happens when we don't. And so in this case, one of the things that she's angry about, the person, our viewer who wrote in, one of the things she's angry about is she spent the money. Okay. Is she happy that the child has the fort that she really wanted him to have? Yes. It sounds like she really liked what she wanted to buy him. So she's happy that he has what she bought him. Okay, she's not thrilled that she had to buy it. It was an expensive gift. She had to pay the whole thing herself.
And it might have put her in a financial bind too, depending on what it was, that she was like, oh, I didn't really have that much money to spend on this one present, and now you kind of backed off, and I'm really in a tight spot now.
Well, or we can say they were planning on buying this present before the sister asked, what can I get? They came up, they concocted this idea, well, how about if you go in half on this? Because I was already going to get it for him anyway. So it forces her to, A, if she's really in a tight spot, she probably hadn't given it to the child yet, so she could have taken it back. 2, it forces her to possibly not buy as many other Christmas gifts that she was going to buy him. So now she's having to make decisions based on her sister's decision that she had no say in.
And there's a bigger thing too, right? Because of what she chose. You know,
correct.
The alternate gift.
So we'll get to that in a minute. So yes, so we'll get to that. But now, in terms relative to now she's got to reorient her decisions, don't we have to do that in life? I mean,
sure.
You know, when we talk about our relationships with our family, yes, there are things that we do that we wouldn't do ordinarily. Now she has to reroute her whole thought process. Maybe I can't buy him as many things as I was going to get him. Or maybe I want to take this back. I mean, she does have a few choices. But in the end, what I say is more important is to preserve the relationship with her sister. And in my case, to preserve the relationship that I have with my adult children. So that's important to me.
Do you think sometimes we don't put as much emphasis on the value of those relationships like we would a neighbor or someone else that we make that commitment to? Well, that's my sister. She'll get it. We'll all be okay.
Yes.
Whereas we're not putting the emphasis or the priority on really the most important thing. Exactly.
That is very true. And then we make assumptions about how we think the person is really going to react. And so let's talk now about what she gave him. So they don't like it. They don't want it. They don't like the fact that the sister gave their child a gun. They don't want her child to be playing with a toy gun. At the same time, do we think that the sister had terrible intentions when she bought that gift?
I don't think so. But I would think she would know her sister well enough to know that she might have feelings about, you know, certain toys or certain things that they don't want to promote in their family. So that's kind of tricky too, because I'm wondering, did she know that her sister didn't like that kind of stuff? You know, or did she think, this is so cute, I just want this for my nephew because it's adorable and he's going to look adorable, without thinking, ooh, this could be offensive to my sister?
It's the latter. And here's how I know that. Because unless someone is a sociopath, which there are sociopaths, most people are not, unless they're a sociopath, nobody gets up in the morning and says, I think I'm going to do something that's going to really make her mad. No, we don't. That's not the way humans behave. The way she was thinking was, this, exactly what you said, is so cute. Oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting to see this right now. Here it is. I'm getting it. That's right.
Yeah,
that's it.
perfect.
We're done.
Yeah.
Perfect. And my thought about that then is, the sister does not live in the same city. So our viewer has the capability of saying to her child, sweetie, Dad and I, or they could talk to him together, Daddy and I really don't approve of you pretending that you're shooting at something or someone. So you need to understand that this is pretend, and we don't ever want you to pretend that you're shooting at another person, ever. So they can set their own guidelines still. If you want to pretend that you're shooting something at the wall, or shooting something that's in, some kind of, I wouldn't use the word inanimate object with the child, but say something that the child can understand that would make, she knows her child better than anyone, say something that would allow him to understand this is not going to be used as a weapon, ever. And we don't approve of that. And make it really, really clear. Then, what I suggest she does is when she's speaking to her sister on the phone, and the sister says, "How does he like it?" At that moment, the child is allowed to say how they feel about the whole outfit and being a cowboy and having a holster and having a gun in the holster. And then, when they're not talking with the sister, we put it away. It's okay to say to your child, "We're not going to play with this all the time." Mm-hmm. She has every right to say that. Yeah. But, and some people may say, "But wait a minute, you're being phony. You don't like it. Why can't you tell her you don't like it?" I believe there is a way to have that conversation with her sister, but not necessarily around, "and this is what you did to my kid," or "this is what you did to us." Instead, that conversation can be had at another time, in a completely other situation. So for instance, when they're talking about child rearing, when they're talking about how they feel about, maybe they want to talk about the NRA, or maybe they want to talk about guns. There are other times to speak about, we're not really comfortable with introducing our children to weapons. And even though that's not what you meant to do, that's how we see it. We see it as a weapon. So
better
we're not
than saying,
comfortable.
"What were you thinking?"
Exactly. That is entirely better than saying, "How dare you? Mm-hmm. You knew how I felt about that. I don't want him wearing that."
But it sounds like the relationship has a little bit of fracture in it. So what advice would you give to, because those feelings are sitting there somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Those anger, that frustration, the misunderstanding, whatever they might be.
Exactly.
So then what advice do you give her to reconcile that with her sister, who may or may not be knowing that she's even upset?
So here's another thing that's going to surprise you about my answer, because normally I say there's a way that you two can talk about this and resolve it. I believe that in this case, because it involves gift giving, because it involves holiday gift giving, and because the sister did something that her sister, our viewer, was not prepared for, she didn't like and she didn't want, but I believe the intentions were 100% good. And so because I believe that, this is one of those situations, not every situation would I say to do this, but I believe this is one of those situations where instead of telling her sister, she should instead say to her husband, which it sounds like, I'm sure in my mind she already has, "Do you believe she did that? I can't believe she bought him that. Why would she buy him that? She knew we had a conversation. She knew we talked about it. She knew it was expensive, that the other thing was expensive. That's what I wanted her to get him. She knew all of that. Do you honestly believe what she did?" So get it all out.
Yeah.
Say what she thought. Say how she felt. But then when she speaks to her sister, she tells her child in advance, "I'm calling your aunt. We can get it out of the closet. You can put it on, and maybe he's allowed to wear the cowboy outfit all the time, just not with the gun. Mm-hmm. But in this case, if the gun's on there, she can do it. She can say to her sister, 'Thank you so much. I appreciated it,' and let it be done. And then he can wear the cowboy outfit without the holster and gun anytime he wants, but maybe that comes out just at that time. Or maybe it doesn't come out at all. But the point is, letting her sister know, yes, I do appreciate that you thought about the gift for him. Because now I want to speak to that point. It is important that we show gratitude even if it wouldn't be our choice. It doesn't mean that she has to love that gift. She doesn't have to love it. But I do think it's important that she recognizes the fact that her sister does care about her child. So in other words, there is a way to have gratitude when you don't love the gift. So I have gratitude that you thought about my child. I have gratitude even that you did something spur of the moment that we weren't expecting. I'm still grateful that you gave him that Christmas gift.
But would it be okay not to even give it to him or throw it away?
I don't believe so, because I believe that there is going to be a time when the sister calls up. They don't live in the same town, There's going to be a time when the sister calls her up and says, so is he dressing up in it? And the child's going to be there. And then now you're lying. If you say, yes, he loved it, and you threw it away, then now you're creating a lie that you're getting your child involved in, because the child knows the truth. So I really don't advocate that.
Or go back and say, well, that is not something we're comfortable with, so we told him the fort was from you.
And again, I don't think that would promote a good relationship with the sister.
And that's the most important thing to preserve.
So I think, and you're asking really good questions, because I think there are some people who would say she hadn't given it to him yet. I don't know how this all played out.
Right.
I don't know if she brought the gift with her when she came.
Would that make a difference?
Yes, because the child's seen the gift. And so I think that what we need to keep in mind, since we don't know all the specifics, I think what we need to keep in mind here, and I think that the lesson here for us is the most important thing is to remember that we really do want to believe, and I absolutely 100% believe this, that the intention is always good. The intention is good. So because if we believe that, then that takes away some of the anger. And then the part about, so what do we do if we're not really playing with it a lot, or if we're playing with it only halfway, we're not wearing the holster or whatever with the gun, then you have the child show the sister in the FaceTime that they do together, or on the phone, yeah, I'm playing with this, I like this, whatever, and then be explaining to your child why you're not going to wear the gun, or if you choose to say, it's okay with me if you play with it, but you pointed it at an inanimate object or whatever. In my mind, I would probably, in thinking about this more, I would probably have him wear the cowboy outfit without the gun in the holster. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to tell you another little story that you're probably not expecting, but a very similar thing happened to me. And here's what it was, which is why I really wanted to read this, because I'm invested in this situation. So when I had my first son, my first child, my mother-in-law's friend bought us a present for the baby. And a lot of times people get you presents for a baby that are really not for a baby. It's for more when he turns like 2 years old, which I viewed as very thoughtful, because if everybody brought you baby gifts of things for the baby to wear for the first 3 months, that there's only so much they can wear, then you have nothing then afterwards. So I loved it when we got toys and clothing for him when he was older. So I open up the box, and what's in it? A cowboy outfit.
And a gun.
And a gun. We did not have guns for our children. We made it very clear there were going to be no guns in the house, and we don't do that. We don't do guns, period. When we were going to the synagogue, which is where we would see my mother-in-law's friends, the first time that I knew, he was about 2 years old, the first time that I knew that I would run into her when he was 2, we put that thing on him and took him to the synagogue with a cowboy outfit and a holster and a gun. Now, if there's anywhere that I'm going to take a gun to, it would not be the synagogue.
Right.
No.
Right.
But, by the way, this was 35 years ago. So we didn't have all what I'm thinking about right now is, so we didn't have what's going on now then. But I brought him in the outfit with the gun on purpose so that I could walk up to Ruth Kramer and say, Ruth, thank you so much for this gift. Here he is. Look at him. Look at him wearing the outfit. And then, and I did it because I wanted her to know thank you so much for buying that for him.
You validated something really important there.
For me,
Yeah.
it was very very important to validate that, and for her too, and for my mother-in-law. This was her friend.
Yeah. Was she there? Was Ruth there?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I knew she'd be at the dinner at the temple. I knew, and this was the first time he grew into it. You know, he was ready. He was going to wear it. I kept it. He wore it, and I did that for Ruth Kramer.
Did she remember?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it's funny that I even remember her name.
Right.
Isn't it? So, but the point is that he wore that thing, and this is not my thing. It's not. It's something I would never think to buy him. But you know, also what I also never thought about. It never occurred to me to evaluate the gift. It really didn't. It was from my mother-in-law's friend. I value that. That's important to me. And that's an important relationship to my mother-in-law. So why wouldn't I keep it? And why wouldn't I have him wear that? So to our viewer, I'm saying, I completely understand why you were upset. You were upset for all the reasons we just spoke about. But I also want you to think about the value of being grateful, even for something that you would not choose. And it's not really, in the end, about that. So sometimes we have to think about what's the most important feeling here, or what's the most important value that we have about this. Because in other words, there are many things that went on with this story, and that's why another reason why I chose to share it. Because the viewer has every right to be angry that the sister broke the agreement. She has every right to be upset with what she decided to get him, and that she was so unprepared for this, and so it made her have to decide. And we don't know what she decided to do in the end about the fort, but my guess is that she kept it because she and her husband were going to buy it anyway. She may have had to make alternate decisions about other gifts and whatever. But I want you to value the relationship above all with your sister. And I want you also to think that her intentions were absolutely good. She broke the agreement, just like I broke the agreement when I said, I really don't want to give you the decorations. I kind of want to keep them for myself. Sometimes we do things that are not politically correct. They're not what they say in the book to do. But I know from it's really not about being a life coach at this moment. For me, it's more about what do we value? And I value ultimately the relationships that we have. So that's what I think you need to stick with. That's what you need to stay with. And when you feel that anger, talk about it with me. Talk about it with us. Talk about it with your girlfriend. Talk about it with your husband. But don't take a chance that you're going to change this important relationship that you have with your sister.
So I think that my takeaway is that believe that the intention's good and preserve the relationship and don't damage things beyond repair for something that can be resolved really a whole lot easier. Right?
Exactly.
Oh, I liked it. This is great advice, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, our favorite life coach is giving us tips for how we can navigate all these tricky things. If you would like to be like this viewer, write into Susan to get her advice. Her address is reallife@blueridgepbs.org, and I know she'd love to hear from you and help you get through those tricky spots. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Rose Martin, and we'll see you next time.